Hey Met fans, Brian here, and this is the Mets Mayhem Recap Show. The Mets and Diamondbacks wrapped up their three-game series in Arizona on Wednesday afternoon. The Mets lost Tuesday evening in a very lackluster fashion from start to finish. With an off day coming up on Thursday, could the Mets bounce back? Could they win Game 3 and take the series? They sent Kodai Senga to the mound looking to pick up his fourth win of the season, and he's going up against the Diamondbacks' Merrill Kelly, who's 3-1 of the season himself. In my last video, it was less recap, more of a venting session. I wanted to see the Mets make some change. If players were not producing, give other players the opportunity. I was also really confused why Brett Baty would be up here and not play, especially replacing Winker as a lefty platoon, but also getting some starts at third, pushing Vientos to DH, or giving him a day off here and there. I also wanted to see Luis and Acuna back in the lineup and not on the bench, especially at the expense of Jeff McNeil. Funny enough, there were some changes for this game. Brandon Nimmo will be serving as a DH. After seeing Brandon aggravate his left knee in Tuesday's game, Luis Torrens is getting the start behind the plate. Brett Baty will get the start at third base. Vientos is getting the day off. Luis and Acuna is back in the lineup at second base. And with Nimmo at DH, Jeff McNeil is getting the start in left field. As always, thank you for taking the time out of your day in advance to watch this video. If you want to support the channel, I would appreciate you liking and subscribing. But for now, Mets Diamondbacks, the rubber game of this three-game series in Arizona. Let's get into it. Francisco Lindor leading off the top of the first inning, going up against Merrill Kelly, and he chases a 1-1 changeup down and out of the zone, swings and misses, and it brings the count to 1 ball, 2 strikes. Then Kelly works him with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside corner. Lindor swings and misses, striking out for the first out of this game. Juan Soto up next. He works the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes, gets a fastball at the bottom of the zone, but over the plate, and he lines out to Alek Thomas in center field, second out of the inning. Pete Alonso now up, no one on, 2 outs. Alonso grounds a first pitch slider at the bottom of the zone, pulls it down the third base line. Eugenio Suarez playing deep goes to his right, he dives, he stops it, gets up, fires a one-hopper to Pavin Smith at first base, and he gets Alonso for the third out. Kodai Senga on the mound, pitching to Corbin Carroll leading off for the Diamondbacks. Senga falls behind him 2-0. Carroll then fouls a fastball off for the first strike. The count goes full, but Senga doesn't go to his ghost fork. Instead, he goes to the cutter, and he walks Carroll. That brings up Geraldo Perdomo. Carroll in first, no one out. Senga falls behind him, 1 ball, no strike. Perdomo pops up in foul territory to Brett Baty at third base. That's the first out. Pavin Smith comes up. Carroll attempts to steal second base. He gets thrown out by Torrens. 2 outs. Count goes full to Pavin Smith. And we see Senga's first ghost fork, but it's a ball. So Smith walks with 2 outs. That brings up Josh Naylor. He's batting cleanup. And he goes out to Senga's first pitch, a thigh-high cutter. Grounds it right to Alonso, who takes it to the bag himself. And that ends the first inning. I felt like the Diamondbacks really helped Senga out in this inning. He had serious control issues. He walked 2 in this inning. Had it not been for Carroll, trying to steal second base and getting thrown out. Perdomo also, after seeing that Senga was having control issues, swung at the second pitch. He probably should have waited, worked the count more. Same thing for Naylor. He swung at the first pitch. So, thankfully for the Mets, they got out of it. So Brandon Nimmo is leading off the top of the second inning against Merrill Kelly, and he lines a 2-1 sinker into the left center field gap, all the way to the wall. Leadoff double for Brandon. Brings up Luis Torrens. He looks at a first pitch fastball right down the middle. Then he takes a curveball just inside off the plate that evens the count at 1 ball, 1 strike. Then he grounds a fastball at the bottom of the zone on the outer half of the plate, pulls it to Perdomo at short. Perdomo checks Nimmo at second, fires over to Smith at first, 1 away. So Nimmo has to hold at second. Brett Baty is now up. He works the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes. He swings at a curveball just out of the zone down, grounds it to Tim Tawa at second base, but he boots it. So Baty reaches on the error, E4. Nimmo advances to third base on the play. The Mets have runners at the corners, 1 out. Luis and Acuna up with the chance to give the Mets the early lead. But Kelly works him down and away, gets ahead of Acuna 1-2, and then gets him to swing over a curveball that drops out of the zone. Second out. That brings up Jeff McNeil. Runners on the corner still, 2 outs. McNeil gets the count to 2-2 as well. and then Kelly freezes him. A fastball belt high on the inside corner that retires the side, and the Mets strand 2 runners. Kodai Senga facing Eugenio Suarez leading off the bottom of the 2nd inning, and Suarez works the count full, then draws a walk. That brings up Lourdes Gurriel Jr. He falls behind, no balls, 2 strikes, and then he falls victim to the ghost fork, striking out swinging for the first out. Brings up Alek Thomas, runner at first, 1 out. He works the count to 2 balls, 1 strike. Then he gets a 94-mile-an-hour fastball in the outside corner, and he drives it to left center field, bounces off the wall. Taylor gets it. He throws it into Lindor, who's in shallow left center field, who turns and fires a perfect 1-hop to Luis Torrens at home, tags Suarez as he's sliding in home. He's out, 2 outs. Fantastic job by Taylor getting to the ball, making a perfect throw to Lindor. Fantastic spin, and throw is right on target to Torrens, and Torrens, he sees that ball coming in, the runner's sliding in. It's not an easy play. Keeps his eye on the ball. He makes the catch. He makes the tag. Fantastic. So again, the Diamondbacks run themselves possibly out another inning. And, now we have Tim Towers up. Senga gets ahead of Tower. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Throws a ghost fork in the dirt for a wild pitch. So Thomas advances to third base on this. Had the Diamondbacks kept the runner on third, would have scored in the wild pitch. So now there's a runner on third, 2 outs. The Senga comes right back, throws a better ghost fork this time, and he gets Tower a strikeout swinging, and that ends the 2nd inning. So once again, the Mets were helped out by the Diamondbacks' poor base running. So Tyrell Taylor's leading off the top of the 3rd inning against Merrill Kelly. He takes a first pitch strike, then he grounds a slider over the plate to Eugenio Suarez at third, fires across the diamond to Pavin Smith for the first out. The lineup then turns over, back to Francisco Lindor at the top. Lindor works the count to 2-1, then he stays back on a changeup that's down on the outer half, lines it into left center field for a double. Lindor's 6th double of the season. Runner in scoring position now for Juan Soto. Kelly gets him to watch a first pitch curve away for strike 1. Then he busts him up and in for foul tip. The count's now no balls, 2 strikes. Then he comes right back with a fastball up and in, but further up and in. Soto swings and misses, striking out. 2nd out of the inning. Now brings up Alonso, and he works the count full. He fouls off 4 2-strike pitches. Then he lines a changeup that just may have been off the plate inside, but he lines it to Gurriel Jr. on left for the 3rd out. And the Mets leave a runner in scoring position. Jose Herrera leading off the bottom of the 3rd inning for the Diamondbacks against Kodai Senga, and Herrera works the count full, then draws a walk. 3rd inning in a row that the leadoff batter has reached, all 3 times by the walk. Corbin Carroll up, Senga falls behind him as well, 3 balls, 1 strike, before he walks as well. So back-to-back walks in the bottom of 3rd inning against Senga. After a first ball to Geraldo Perdomo, he tries to drop a sac bunt to move the runners over. Luis Torrens springs up, fields it, fires to Beatty at 3rd, and gets the force out on Herrera. So 1 out, runners on 1st and 2nd still. Pavin Smith now up, and he goes first pitch swinging, grounds a 95-mile-an-hour fastball on the outer half of the plate, right to Luis Angel Acuna, tosses over to Lindor covering 2nd, fires to Alonso, 4-6-3 double play. Just like that, inning over. Senga and the Mets escape the 3rd inning without giving up a run. Top of the 4th, game is still scoreless. Merrill Kelly retires the Mets in order, 3 up, 3 down. He gets Brandon Nimmo to ground out to Pavin Smith, tosses over to Kelly covering 1st for the 1st out. Luis Torrens hits one right back, fielded by Kelly, tosses to Smith at 1st again. 2 batters, 2 outs now. And then he strikes out Brett Beatty on a 1-2 fastball up and in that he swings and misses, and that ends the top of the 4th. Bottom of the 4th inning, Kodai Senga has his first inning of not letting the leadoff batter on. In fact, no one got on. Senga got the Diamondbacks out, 3 up, 3 down. Josh Naylor flew out to Soto and right. Senga got ahead of Suarez 1 ball, 2 strikes before getting him to swing and miss on a slider down and away. And then Lourdes Gurriel Jr. grounded out to Alonso, who takes it to the bag himself, and that ends the 4th inning. So we have a pitching duel now. Top of the 5th inning, Merrill Kelly gets the Mets to go down in order for the 2nd straight inning. Luis Angel Acuna flies out to Alek Thomas in center for the 1st out. Jeff McNeil swings over a 1-2 changeup that dropped out of the zone, striking out for the second out. And Tyrone Taylor grounds out to Eugenio Suarez at third, firing over to Pavin Smith at first, and that retires the side. Kodai Senga matches Kelly in the bottom of the fifth inning. His control issues seemingly behind him. He retires the Diamondbacks in order for the second straight inning himself. Alec Thomas grounds out to Lindor at shortstop, who fires over to Alonso to complete the first out. Tim Tawa lines out to Juan Soto in shallow right, with Soto charging in to make the catch. And Jose Herrera flies out to Tyrone Taylor in center field, and that ends the fifth inning. Merrill Kelly's still on the mound in the top of the sixth inning. He's facing the top of the Mets lineup. Francisco Lindor leading off. He falls behind 1 ball, 2 strikes before flying out on a curveball down the zone to Gurriel in left field for the first out. That brings up Juan Soto. He takes a first pitch strike on a changeup off the plate. Kelly definitely got the benefit of that call. It looked like it was outside and off the plate. But he comes back with another changeup down and in, but out of the zone. So it evens the count at 1 ball, 1 strike. Kelly tries to come inside with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, thigh high. Soto wasn't having any of it. Hits a deep fly ball, dead center, 427 feet, over the 20-foot fence. Juan Soto's 6th home run of the season, a solo shot. Mets strike first, 1-0 game now. Pete Alonso up. He hits a hard ground ball down the third base line. Eugenio Suarez goes towards the line, makes a backhanded stop. His momentum takes him to the ground, but he gets up, fires across the diamond on a frozen rope to Pavin Smith at first. Alonso's out by half a step for the second out. Brings up Brandon Nimmo, 2 outs. He works the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kelly throws him a curveball that drops out of the zone. Nimmo grounds it to Pavin Smith at first, takes it to the bag himself, and that ends the top of the 6th inning. So Kodai Senga still on the mound at the bottom of the 6th. He's pitching for 1-0 lead now. Top of the lineup for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Corbin Carroll leading off. Carroll hits an 0-1 forkball between first and second. Alonso makes a hell of a diving stop. Gets up, but there's no one covering first. Senga got caught watching the play, and by the time he took off, it was way too late. Senga's clearly frustrated with himself. He apologizes to Alonso. I wanted to see how he would respond here. Would he take it to the mound and let him affect him, or would he bear down and get the Mets out of this inning? So we have Geraldo Perdomo up next, runner on first, no one out. Senga goes to a full count on him, but he's able to locate a 95-mile-an-hour fastball in the outer corner. Perdomo flies out to Tyrone Taylor in center field, 1 out. Then Pavin Smith is up next, and Smith works the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes, but Senga strikes him out looking, throwing a 96-mile-an-hour fastball down and away right on the corner. So his control has drastically improved from the early on innings. 2 outs. Josh Naylor up. He works the count to 3 balls, 1 strikes. Senga busts him inside with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He pops it up. Jam shot job into shallow left field. Brett Beatty, who is kind of positioned to where shortstop typically is. Brett Beatty goes back, makes the catch, and that ends the 6th inning. Luis Torrens leading off the top of the 7th inning against Merrill Kelly. Mets leading this game 1-0. He works the count to 1 ball, 1 strike, and then catches a sinker up in the zone, hits a double to straightaway center field. The center field was playing kind of in. I'm not sure if he would have caught it anyway. Now we have runner on second, no one out for Brett Beatty. Takes a backdoor curveball for strike 1. Kelly goes back to the same pitch, same location. Beatty chops it off the plate. Kelly goes off the mound, fields it to his left towards first base, between second and first, makes a toss to Pavin Smith at first base, 1 out, but Torrens moves over to third base. Essentially, it was like a sacrifice bunt, but it wasn't. So that brings up Luis Angel Acuna. He takes the first pitch straight over the plate, falls in a no ball, 1 strike hole. Looks like he might have been waiting for the curveball. Well, don't worry. Next pitch, he gets it. He lines it up the middle for a base hit. That drives in Torrens. RBI for Acuna. 2-0 Mets. Jeff McNeil's now up. McNeil fouls off a first pitch fastball. Up and out of the zone. Kelly and the Diamondbacks paying a lot of attention to Acuna. They throw over there twice during the at-bat to keep him close. It doesn't matter. Acuna takes off on the 0-1 pitch. A fastball high for ball 1. Slides to second base easily. Well before the throw got there in the tag. So Acuna's 9th stolen base of the season. He's in scoring position. McNeil works the count to 3 balls, 2 strikes. He swings at ball 4, a changeup down and away, but out of the strike zone. But he makes contact. He lines it into the right center field gap. Acuna scores. McNeil's at second. He's rounding second. He gets to third base. He slides in. His second triple of the year. The Mets now have a 3-0 lead. However, McNeil seems to kind of misstep when he was rounding second base. So he comes out of the game. Jose Azocar comes in as a pinch runner for him at third base. The Diamondbacks now go to the bullpen. They bring on Jalen Beeks. Merrill Kelly's done. Tyrone Taylor's up next. Runner on third, one out. Infield's in for the Diamondbacks. Taylor grounds a 1-2 changeup outside. Right to Tim Tower playing in at second base. So Azocar has to hold at third. Tower tosses over to Smith at first. That's 2 away. Brings up Francisco Lindor. 2 outs. He lines a 0-1 changeup down and away. Right to Corbin Carroll in right field. That retires the side. But not before the Mets tack on 2 runs. They make this a 3-0 game going into the bottom of the 7th inning. So the Mets go to their bullpen now. Max Kranick comes on in relief for Kodai Senga. Jose Azocar stays on in this game in left field after pinch running for McNeil. Eugenio Suarez is leading off for the Diamondbacks. And he lands the first pitch he sees, a 96-mile-an-hour fastball outside off the plate, right to Juan Soto in right field, 1 away. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. now up, 1 away. Kranick attacks the zone, gets ahead of him, no balls, 2 strikes. Gurriel fouls a fastball and a sweeper off. Kranick then dials it up a bit, throws a 98-mile-an-hour fastball in the outside corner. Gurriel flies out to Soto and right. Second out of the inning. Brings up Alek Thomas. No one on. 2 away. Thomas gets a 1-1 97-mile-an-hour fastball. He gets it up elevated just below the letters. Grounds it right up the middle for a base hit. So the Diamondbacks have a runner on first base. 2 outs. Tim Towers now up. Kranick gets ahead of him. 1 ball, 2 strikes. But he hits a 91-mile-an-hour slider at the bottom of the zone. Lines it right up the middle himself. The runners are now in first and second. 2 outs. Brings up the tying run at the plate. Jose Herrera's due up, but the Diamondbacks pinch hit for him. They bring on Ketel Marte, who had the day off in this game. And Kranick starts him away with a curveball for ball 1. Then he comes back inside with a slider, and Marte grounds it right to Acuna at second base. Throws over to Alonso. That ends the 7th inning, and the Mets are still leading 3-0. Jalen Beeks is still on the mound for the Diamondbacks. He's facing Juan Soto leading off the bottom of the 8th inning. Beeks gets ahead of him, no balls, 1 strike, with a fastball at the top of the zone. He comes back, same location, but with a cutter, and Soto drives it to left, 380 feet, over the left field fence. Soto's 7th home run of the year. The Mets now lead 4-0. Pete Alonso up next, count goes full. Alonso gets called out on a changeup that was down out of the zone. Horrible call by the umpires. Hate to see Alonso strike out like that, but for me the key is his zone awareness, and it has improved so much. Nothing you can do about that. It wasn't even borderline, that call. So it's 1 out. Brandon Nimmo up. Beeks gets ahead of him. No balls, 2 strikes. And he gets Nimmo to ground out on a changeup down in the zone. Right to Ketel Marte at second base, who tosses over to Smith at first. That's a 2nd out. Diamondbacks now go to their bullpen again. They bring on Jose Castillo in relief for Jalen Beeks. And the first batter he faces is Luis Torrens. He works the count full, but he walks him. So that brings up Brett Beatty. And Beatty works the count full as well. And then he pulls a slider off the plate to Marte at second base. Tosses over to Smith. And that retires the Mets in the top of the 8th inning. So Max Kranick is on the mound for his 2nd inning of work in the bottom of the 8th inning, and he's facing Corbin Carroll leading off for the Diamondbacks. Carroll takes a first pitch slider over the plate, 427, dead center, his 11th home run of the season. It's a 4-1 game now. Geraldo Perdomo up. He works the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kranick leaves a fastball thigh high over the middle of the plate, grounds it to third base. Beatty goes over to his right. He kind of half slides, tries to backhand it, but it rides up on him. He's unable to grab it. Perdomo safe at first. It scored a single, but let's be honest, Beatty should have had that. It was not that difficult of a play. The only issue would have been Perdomo still beating it out with his speed. Should have been an error in my books. Pavin Smith is now up, 1 out. He strikes out on a 1-2 slider down and in. That's the 2nd out of the inning. The Mets now go to their bullpen. They bring on Huascar Braziban. And Braziban's first batter is Alek Thomas. He works the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes. And he hits a 95-mile-an-hour fastball on the other half of the plate to Jose Azocar in left field. That's the second out. So Pavin Smith now up. 1 out, and he strikes out on a 1-2 sinker down and in. That's the first out of the inning. The Mets go to Huascar Brazoban now, and his first batter he faces is Alek Thomas, who works the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes, and then he hits a 95-mile-an-hour fastball on the outer half of the plate, right to Jose Azocar on left, second out of the inning. That brings up Eugenio Suarez, who's making defensive plays left and right. Runner on first, 2 outs. Brazoban gets ahead of him, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Then he strikes him out on a cutter, down and away, and that ends the 8th inning. Top of the 9th, the Mets lead 4-1. Jose Castillo still on the mound for the Diamondbacks. He's facing Luis Angel Acuna leading off. Acuna lines a 1-2 slider down the first base line, but Pavin Smith makes the play, 1 away. Jose Azocar is up. He works the count to 3 balls, 1 strike. He draws a walk, brings up Tyrone Taylor, and Azocar steals his first base of the year. So Taylor works the count full now. He draws a walk from his own. First and second, 1 away. Brings up the top of the lineup, Francisco Lindor. And Lindor lines a first pitch fastball up and in and lines a double into the left field corner. Azocar comes home. Taylor comes home. 2-run RBI. Double for Francisco Lindor. Mets now have a 6-1 lead. Juan Soto's up. Castillo's paying no mind to Lindor. He just takes off and takes third base. Is ruled defensive indifference. So Juan Soto should just change his number to 32 now because, again, he's in a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Takes a fastball on the outside corner. Flies out to Gurriel in left field. Lindor tags up and scores. So sac fly for Soto. He owes Lindor a dinner for taking third base to set that RBI up for him. 7-1 Mets. Alonso up next, and Castillo strikes him out on a 1-2 slider down and in. That's the third out in the top of the 9th. So Ryan Stanek on the mound now in the top of the 9th inning, replacing Brazoban, and Stanek gets the Diamondbacks out in order to close out this game. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. grounds out to Acuna at second, chasing a first pitch fastball outside. Acuna tosses to Alonso, 1 away. Stanek jams Alek Thomas on a 1-2 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He pops up to Brett Baty in foul territory, 2 away. And then Gabriel Moreno falls behind, no balls, 2 strikes. Chases a sweeper down and away off the plate, grounds out to Acuna, who tosses over to Alonso. That's the game. Mets win this game 7-1. Let's get into the takeaways. The Mets Mayhem player of the game is going to be split between Kodai Senga and Juan Soto. Kodai Senga struggled early on. He walked the leadoff batter in each of the first 3 innings. He kept getting himself into trouble, and honestly, it didn't look like he was going to be in this game very long, which would have been troubling considering his prior start. But something clicked. Senga's control issues were corrected mid-game, and he retired 10 of his last 11 batters, including 7 in a row at one point, until Corbin Carroll singled in the bottom of the 6th inning on a ball that Senga just didn't cover first. That was a big moment in this game as well. The score was just 1-0. How would he respond? Leadoff batter on. And he came back and he got the next 3 outs. His final line reads 6 innings pitched. He allowed no runs on 2 hits. He did walk 5 batters, struck out 4, picks up the 4th win of the season, and he lowers his season ERA to 1.16. His co-player of the game, Juan Soto. Soto broke the scoreless tie, hitting his 6th home run of the season to dead center. He then followed that up with hitting a home run to left field, his 7th home run of the season, 2nd multi-home run of the season, picked up another RBI in the sac fly in the 9th. So he was 2 for 3 with those 2 home runs. His average is now up to 261 this season. His OPS is now at 863 and is creeping up on 900. He's batting .346 in May with 4 home runs, just 5 RBIs, but Soto's clearly starting to heat up. Some other notables from this game: Francisco Lindor went 2 for 5. He had 2 doubles. He scored a run, drove in 2. He also made a perfect relay throw home to nail a run at the plate. His average dipped a little bit from a couple weeks ago, but he's still sitting at 287. Luis Angel Acuna picked up his 9th stolen base of the year. We'll have to wait and hear more about Jeff McNeil and what happened when he rounded second base on that triple. Hopefully, he was just taken out for precautionary reasons. From the bullpen's end, Max Kranick went an inning and a third. He allowed the Carroll home run. And he wasn't his lights-out self, but he was still very good. Brazoban came on to get the last 2 outs in the 8th. He lowered his season ERA to 1.21, He is a fantastic weapon to have in that bullpen right now. And I absolutely loved Mendoza going to Ryan Stanek in the 9th inning. He needs to build his confidence back up. He had a couple of rocky outings. The Mets need to put him in situations like this where he can succeed and build that confidence back up before they put him in high leverage situations again. So he came in, he retired the side in order. Fantastic. Overall, fantastic game for the Mets, in fact. A complete opposite from the game before. Good pitching, defense didn't hurt us. When we finally did score, we tacked on insurance runs. So the Mets win. They moved to 24-14 in the season. The Diamondbacks dropped to 19-18. The Mets will have an off day on Thursday before starting a 6-game homestand, starting with 3 games with the NL Central leading Chicago Cubs, followed with 3 more games with the NL Central cellar-dwelling Pittsburgh Pirates. I'll be back to recap the game as well as provide any other noteworthy Mets news. But until then, Met fans, let's go Mets.